just take them the way they're on my dais here. First one is Ashley Whittenberger speaking on voting integrity. Good morning.
Good morning, Judge.
Welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
So I had to write on my hands the three things. I didn't have much time to prepare, but just a few things that I wanted to talk about regarding voting integrity in Hays County. For months now, I have been emailing some of you on the court, as well as the Elections Commission, asking some very respectful, some very simple, and some very logical and reasonable questions and concerns. I've gotten no reply. I do get my 3 minutes up here in Commissioner's Court, but I have to drive over an hour and take off from my work and had to leave a sick child at home today, so I appreciate that. But I'm not getting answers to some very reasonable questions. One of them is the fact that we know for a fact, and each of you knows this, and you've talked about it in court, and it's been documented, the elections administrator knows that incorrect ballot styles have been issued in Hays County elections. And we know this happened in the last election in November and the one before that. And I've asked what's being done to investigate that, what's being done to prevent it from happening again. And do you know what answer I got? None. Finally, Ms. Caraway did email me yesterday and let me know that's not been investigated. So we're not sure if we have more incorrect ballot styles being issued in this last election. So, you know, you all have all the control here and you know it. You get your big donations for your bonds, your pro-bond packs from out-of-state companies, construction companies, some of which are being investigated by the FBI. You use your positions to peddle influence, sometimes misleading voters into thinking that their taxes actually won't increase by saying their tax rate won't increase. You use our money to push forward your agenda to expand the government, even though a lot of you have run on the platform of being fiscal conservatives who don't do that. So you've got all that control here. You've got the buzzer, Judge, that I know is going to cut me off loudly in just a moment. You've got the dais where you can bloviate as soon as I sit down and make, state your statements of fact. All that we are asking for is a free and transparent and fair election process. And you're denying Hays County citizens that right. You're flat out denying them. And it's disgusting. And I think it's shameful. I was thinking it almost disgusts me as much as when I see people burn or step on the American flag. However, I know they have the right to do that. That's protected in the Free Speech Amendment. I want you to tell me where in the Constitution you have the right to deny me or any fellow citizens the right to vote in Hays County. I don't think that you'll find it. You should be ashamed of yourselves, not only as elected representatives who represent voters here in Hays County, but also as Americans.
I would warn the speakers from now on that if you accuse this court of a crime, you better have evidence to back it up.
We do. Just to be clear.
Okay. The next one I have is Cristin Hearn.
Good morning, Commissioners, Judge.
Morning.
I will start off. I'm a very fair person. I asked Ms. Anderson last week. It was a pretty basic question about the early voting turnout, and I did get a response. However, I wish I could get a response from my April 7th request. This is, quote, "What specific process improvements have you implemented to ensure accurate ballots are distributed? What process is performed to know how many, if any, erroneous ballots are distributed?" I have yet to receive an answer to my question. I had to do an FOIA request in order to get a copy of her investigation report because I asked her 3 or 4 times for that and kept getting sent to links on the website, that had nothing to do with what I requested. Again, this just proves there's a deficiency here in our election administrator. And if you look at her investigation report, This audit had a specific scope from a specific incident, and that incident is Anthem. Now, nowhere in that report does it address incorrect ballot styles, and we know that a component of the Anthem case was that the single vote that was originally canvassed was from a voter who should not have been voting in that election. So why is that not in her report if she states that this audit had a specific scope from a specific incident, and that incident is Anthem? So we need more answers. We need a transparent process. We need a formal audit. Her words, this was informal. This is not a formal investigation. Her words are informal. This is at best an inquiry. And we are not getting answers to why people are getting incorrect ballots. And I'd be curious how many were issued incorrect ballots in this last election. I asked a question on April 7th. She had a month to tell me what she has implemented to correct this. And again, she's choosing not to. And on a prior communication to me, she said that she is addressing all of the failures from the November election and implementing new policies and procedures so that the errors in November do not happen again. Very specific, easy question. What have you done? I'm not getting an answer, and I don't understand why. We're not getting answers. Hays County needs to know that our voting process is ethical and fair. And right now, I don't think we know that. And I've been to 2 election commission meetings. She cannot answer basic questions. She's not providing answers to citizens who ask. And then she's making comments that people like me are putting roadblocks in the way of county officials doing their jobs. I've asked specifically more than once what I have done to impede her ability to do her job, and I've not gotten an answer. That's an accusation that needs to be answered, Judge Cobb. She made an accusation to me. All I have done is speak at Commissioner's Court, send her politely worded emails, waited patiently for answers, and spoken at the Election Commission asking the same things. Thank you.
Okay, the next person is Dan Lyon.
Thank you, Judge and County Commissioners. Tuesday we had another election. In my opinion, the numbers were highly suspect, to say the least. The pro-school bond crowd in San Marcos partied like it was 1999, but we all know better than that. The San Marcos School District continued its string of passed bonds along with the Hays School District and the City of San Marcos. Combined with the county's landslide of 1816, the county bond election of November 8th, 2016, it seems that Hays County has an insatiable need for debt. It's funny, though, in Williamson County, 3 school bonds went down to defeat, while in San Marcos, the school bond passed by a margin of 3-1. What is the difference between Williamson and Hays County? I don't know, but I believe Williamson County has an honest elections administrator. We have had reports of, should I say, anomalies in Tuesday's election. Will we find another 1,800 missing votes in this election? I have no confidence in the results of last Tuesday's election, although that's my personal opinion. I remember voting in my first presidential election in 1976. It was the year of the bicentennial. I was in the greatest country in the world, voting on the highest office in the land. The feeling was indescribable. It was like Christmas and the 4th of July all rolled into one. I had a sacred bond with the Founding Fathers and the patriots who had fought and died in and since the Revolution. They bequeathed to me the most precious gift that any human could give to another human. That was the right to vote and to have that vote count. Anyone who would subvert that right is a greater danger to the Republic than an enemy carrying a rifle. As a matter of fact, they are traitors, and I have sworn to defend the Constitution against all enemies, be they foreign or domestic. Maybe that first election was just a naive young man's dream. But then again, maybe it is the way we all should feel about every election. I believe that we should find an elections administrator with the maturity and integrity to understand the gravity of our voting process. Thank you.
Thank you. Have one last Sally Rec. Is that right? Reach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, welcome.
Pardon me?
You may begin.
I would like to describe a voting irregularity that happened to me on April the 27th at the Dripping Springs ISD Administration Office. I handed my driver's license to the first election official, who then handed the next official a sticker to place on the voter signature sheet. I looked at the ballot code on the sticker and saw the ISD code, the ESD code, and the DS code. I didn't know what the DS code meant. I don't live in the Dripping Springs city limits, so I shouldn't be voting on the Dripping Springs City Council. So I asked the official what the DS code meant. The next official that I just printed my voter machine ticket, the one with the little number on it, said, "I thought you said SS." The election official then said that there was an error and that they had to cancel the voter machine ticket and get another, but they didn't know how to do that. So a phone call was made. So as it turned out, the SS ballot and the DS ballot were identical. So I was told to go ahead and vote the SS ballot incorrectly. By coincidence, it was only by coincidence that the DS and the SS ballots were identical. Just as easy, I could have gotten a ballot without an ESD or a DISD election to vote, or one with the Dripping Springs City Council to vote. It is far too easy to make an error with the process in place now. I believe this was an honest mistake, but when mistakes are so easy to make, it is very easy to make a mistake on purpose. So, for example, if the election official knew how I intended to vote and didn't agree, I could have gotten a ballot that wouldn't have the correct election on it. Or, on the other hand, if the official knew how I would vote and agreed, I could have gotten a ballot with an election I shouldn't be voting in. This is very concerning to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Reed. Okay. Please, the court will go to consent items. Please open items number 2 through 6.
Statement of fact, he was issued an incorrect ballot style.
That's enough. You're out of order. Please follow that lady and tell her to not do that again. Please call the, read those, please.